Welcome back to this week's episode. I have another amazing guest to share with you. Her name is Paige Trinnaman Kimball, and I cannot wait to share with you all the wonderful magic that she has created and is moving out into the world at a rapid pace, might I ask you, might I share. Paige is an emotional resonance practitioner who specializes in self leadership and self actualization for women. And I'm really excited that you're here today. We have so much to talk about, but I just wanted to say welcome and, fill in some more information about who you are and how you bring your magic to the world.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me. Michelle and I met because I was looking for speakers for the new Empowerment Summit, and that's my summit coming up in September. So I'm really looking to redefine what power means for women today. I see a lot of women that are tired, that are in burnout, and also just having difficulty, whether it be with their weight, their relationships, various things. And I happen to see it as all related. I see it as an energetic equation and an emotional equation and a values issue. And so basically I'm speaking out to that. That's my summit, that is my book that is coming out, and it's also my flagship coaching program, which is launching in November.
Oh, I love that so much. You have a lot going on in a short amount of time. So let's talk about aligning between the values. What happens when we don't align our actions with the values and everything in between? Let's jump into that for our conversation today, and then we'll expand upon it.
Okay. Well, I love starting with the values because it is so important for women and people in general to know what their values are. When we don't know that, someone else's values are running our show and are determining where our energy goes. And so sometimes we wonder why we're tired and why we're worn out. And it's often because we're trying to please someone else.
Mm, yes, and like so many things are flooding in, but motherhood is one of those things where we start running ourselves to the bone in efforts to be all the things that maybe we didn't have or all the things that we know that we can be for our kids. And yet here we continue year after year after year. And then we pay the price because we're not prioritizing ourselves in that moment. We feel like, oh, there's time for us later.
Yes, motherhood, or at least I had four small children within a relative 10-year time span, and I struggled mightily with fatigue. I went to the fibromyalgia and fatigue center that was here in Salt Lake at the time, and really received a shotgun approach to that, which is let's put you on everything from antidepressants to vitamins to digestive enzymes to hormones. And it was really quite confusing. And it took about 10 years for me to really stop from even that and slowly build my life back together. And it's not to say that motherhood was not a high value for me. It's just that I didn't understand the value of balance,
Yeah.
because I did actually value peace and I valued energy, and I wasn't prioritizing that.
And it's so simple to do too. Like it's not like we wake up every day and think, I'm going to deplete myself today, you know? It's the nuance and just the patterns that are running. And I love this a lot. One, my heart was like hurting just when you're explaining all those systems at one time, trying to throw something at it to find the harmony, right? And it's like hormones alone, that's a whole nother podcast. But my gosh, and yet they are all related. And so I'm so curious to learn more about how your body resonance method was crafted in throughout this experience. Obviously you came through it with more wisdom than going in. What inspired that method to be created? Then what do you see as the common denominator between all of these links when you're speaking to women and working with them?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. The body resonance method really is, it's like my crowning achievement so far, because it does bring 45, 48 years of experience together, um, with also being in a medical family, with being married to a physician with my exercise physiology degree. And so I have the medicine background and the physiology background. But what I wanted to do when I was down and out and I was so depressed is I needed to understand how emotions worked.
Yeah.
So I became what's called a spiral practitioner, which is an emotional resonance art also. And that really taught me that there's this invisible world within us and without us that is energetic and emotional in nature that I was completely ignoring, completely ignoring my connection to myself and to my significant other, which got me in quite the pickle. So really, I wish I would have had the body resonance method when I was younger, a young, tired mom. So I created what I never had.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's so powerful. That's impactful work and something needed no matter what age you are. I believe, this world is moving faster and faster, and there's more chaos, and we're finding ourselves in the middle of this tug of war between head and emotions, head and heart, and knowing who we are. And that, like you said, that value system of where we're operating from and what of these things are our beliefs or our emotions that are actually key codes to helping us through instead of the thing that we're taught to run from is really powerful. So we share that, like being later in life going, this world existed. And then at the same time, that huge transformation, not only potential, but the sustainability that comes when we really recognize beyond the mind and body that, we're the one absorbing everything inside. And so this emotional toolkit, this emotional resilience and stability can be so helpful, not in avoiding feeling, but when we do feel, how to utilize that and leverage it for where we want it to take us, right? What else is possible is how I always say it. What do you what do you find most when values comes into the conversation? Because I think, I teach values as well. They're one of those mind-blowing examples of something that we can revisit over and over and over again, and it continues to expand with us. But I was very much like you, just running busy and all the things, and hadn't ever slowed down to consider, to be intentional, to open that up in what are my values beyond, don't cheat, don't steal, don't lie, which many of us are operating off of from a conditioning standpoint and being a nice person. But when we go into the depth of our heart values, and we really bring those up, in my experience, it hasn't been something that you can know in your head. Is that where you go with that exampling of really discovering those values with your clients?
Well, really, I've brought together so many models into one. I'm a big fan of looking at ancient wisdom,
Mhm.
and I'm a fan of combining models to make a more efficacious model that streamlines results. And so, yes, we can look at the values and where those are out of alignment, but I think there's a really important aspect, which is backing up. I really like to back up to the very beginning of a life, of a lifetime, because the moment we are conceived and the moment we are in the womb and we are in the environment of the mother, we are beginning to adopt values and we're beginning to adopt stories and patterns from that very, very early time that we're unaware of. And until the time we're about 8 years old, we're absorbing all of these like a sponge, completely unconsciously. And it's not until we have problems later on in life that we see the pattern playing out. And so um, I really like to look at that pattern as something that doesn't define us, but it's something running through us. And by taking a look at that pattern and refining the pattern and working through the pattern and alchemizing that and the stories that we believe that also are related to this pattern, then our life starts to change and then our values start to shift and then the alignment starts to happen.
I love that. What do you feel along this journey is some of the practical, like we're in this human body and we're having this beautiful experience, mind, body, soul. And so when we're literally living this life in this physical body, there can be a lot of frustrations when we start opening up that context, right? What do you feel are the top frustrations that not only does this method ease you through, but really help you understand at a depth that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken within you. When you find yourself in this growth, you're just invited to a new place. Like I'll let you take it from there, but I was just thinking like that starting point when I first opened up to like the identities and different things. My dog is in here snoring. Can you hear that? Where that took me in realization next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we really don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we're not aware of. Speaking of absorbing things like a sponge, so it's very helpful to work with someone who is able to bring things out of the shadow for you. All
Mhm.
the information you need for a joyful, happy life is in your body. It's all there. The blueprints there, even all the stuff that trips us up and the trauma and the things that happen to us or that we believe, it's all the perfect roadmap to get us to that peaceful, happy place, which in itself can be fleeting. But I like to go there and to be present in that vibration as often as possible, because then I have what you would call a happy life, because I'm hitting into those, or coming into those feelings, those emotions, and letting those come through me and exuding those as much as possible. So the other stuff, no judgment. Like it's just part of life, and it's there to show us. It's like a road sign. Oh, okay. I need to do this. I need to turn here. I need to shift this, and it's all just information. But it's great information to look at. So I say that um, the roadmap and the blueprint is in the body, and also that the shadow is where the magic is. Let's pull it out, let's illuminate it, let's decide what we want. Maybe we want to keep some of that, maybe some of that's the ego and we need it, but there's some of it there that's probably not helpful, and it's either causing a physical or a hormonal imbalance in the body, or it's causing unhappiness on some level.
Yeah. And I think so often in this line of work too, people want to run from the shadow, right? We want to annihilate the shadow, and the shadow has, in my opinion, the key codes. I know. And we're all going to experience that differently. We are going to experience our relationship with the shadow. We are going to experience our relationship with ourself and all the space in between. And I love the work that you're doing because it's so impactful. It's not a one and done experience, but it's an invitation to a continual evolution in life. And the book that you've written, please speak to that. Is that taking your method and then breaking it into pieces and within a book where more of a whole can consume that versus just the one-on-one workings?
Well, I would like to say it's an instructional book, but it's not. It's actually an expose. Um, it is a record of my life and all the mistakes that I made, all the the crazy ups and downs, and the roller coaster ride that it was for me to unmesh and unlink myself from an Orthodox Mormon marriage, and really from being a mother who loved her children but felt disconnected from the
Yeah.
role of mother, and also redefining love, sex, and God on my own terms instead of in a societal or a dogmatic way.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's so important. There's so many parts of ourselves that we can shut off, even not knowingly, right? That when they're rebirthed and reawakened, they add to that wholeness. And such a beautiful experience. And I think, I mean, I'll raise my hand too, like going through tough times in life, you come out of it and you feel a little numb to things. And it's really an opportunity to rediscover maybe even parts of you didn't really realize before there the disconnection was. It just was this opportunity to wake up to a deeper sense of who you are, which is so beautiful.
Yes, I mean, I had friends that were high level coaches in wealth, embodiment, the feminine mysteries, and it all seems so intriguing to me. But what really brought me or nudged me into this journey, besides hearing, I just knew there was something more. And I believe that was my higher self coming to me, telling me that there was more. But I really wanted to have a life that lit me up. I wanted to have orgasms. I wanted to be deeply in love. I wanted to be doing something that mattered on the planet. I wanted my kids to be proud of me, not because I was a super mom and I could make the best sandwiches, but because I wanted to be my own hero or heroine to myself, and then have my kids say, wow, I want to be that for myself,
Yeah.
and ignite them in that way. So I really just blew things up.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And it just showed them a whole nother way. And mm, that's what it's about, really rippling that effect out. Tell us about the new Empowerment Summit. Are you excited? Obviously, you're excited, but are you excited for the creation coming to life now that it's in its process of becoming reality?
You know what? This has really stretched me to do a summit because I was a stay-at-home mom and I didn't learn how to do all the technical things. And I didn't even have the type of work ethic that required sitting for long hours and concentrating and doing administrative tasks. And so that has required a huge shift in my energy. And it has really put to test this idea of striving for balance and not burning out. Because like today, I think I have 6 interviews today, as a matter of fact, and so I really have had to reframe what it is to have a day like this. I get to have interesting conversations all day,
Yeah.
and good snacks to get to get me through. And then I walk outside and I put my feet in the ground and run the hose on my feet, or feed the chickens, or smell the roses. But I literally know that those things are recharging my battery, because now I have a different lens about empowerment. And empowerment truly is charging the human battery and the human vessel. And I know that I am made to hold charge, literally, that this body is made for that. And I know what can do it. And I know the practices and the things that I can do. So um, I've been excited to have the conversations for the summit, and to have a variety of conversations, because I wanted to bring to women conversations about hormones, about the human battery and true power. I wanted to talk about sex, love, relationships, money, um, investing, all of these things. I think what I did is I brought all of these things to the table that I didn't know about, as someone who was staying home to support a very successful entrepreneur and doctor, and raise 4 children. So there's a lot to look forward to there. And that will start September 16th, and it will go for 3 weeks into the first week of October, 1 interview a day.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you for that. And I think there's a lot of depth and truth and relatability in the position that you found yourself and then what you wanted to do with this information next, right? Because we can be living beautiful lives and it doesn't mean there isn't something else that we want to pursue. And I think it's so powerful that you were able to tap into that and even bring it into a bigger mission to show your girls there's another way, and to show yourself that you get to grow and expand no matter where you are in life, where you find yourself. And I really love that about your story so much. How I usually end the podcast is asking each guest their definition, their feeling, how these words, these 3 words resonate with you as we pull them into context to the conversation today and what you want to share with everyone. Um, when we think of the words purpose, presence, and prosperity, I always love asking, like, how do you feel those words? What do they mean to you? And I know you tapped briefly on them earlier, but I just in a flow, what would you like to share about that?
Well, I definitely think they're tied together. Um, a woman living in her purpose is she's both conserving energy, um, and she is creating energy.
Mm.
And because purpose is it's high on the scale of consciousness, it's like right near the top. And so when you're living a life of purpose, that means that you have shed the residue of shame, guilt, dogma, um, the the idea that you're not expressing your truth. So you are expressing. You're living from your power center. You have claimed what you desire. And when you do these things, and you're living also from a place of intuition. So when you're living like this, it's like this optimized way of life that then allows you to prosper, and you can't help but create abundance from that place because you're magnetizing it to you. It's the world is lining up for you and mirroring you as you live in that way.
I love that. And the words that were popping in as you were saying that so eloquently and beautifully was where we began, the alignment of our values. But in this context, we're the value. The value comes from within and it gets to continue to expand and grow, which is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all of your beautiful gifts and your wisdom today on this podcast episode. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a very simple website. It's emotionalresonanceMethod.com. I also would love for people to jump into the summit, and they can click the link to register for the summit. There's going to be a wealth of information there. And that will be 21 interviews in the summit, and then also a summit series following that, and I will continue to drip those out. I am on Instagram as Paige Trinnaman, like cinnamon, also on Facebook there. And I would love for people to consider the body resonance method, which starts in November. And it is an optimization tool like no other because uh, women will not only be emotionally um, elevated and alchemized, literally alchemized over 6 months, which I think people need time for true alchemy. But they will also be supported in physiological information. So it's for the whole vessel, a very holistic experience. And if if anyone is leaking energy or wondering why they don't have energy or alignment in their life, I guarantee results in the body resonance method.
I love that. And we'll be sure to put all the links in the show notes. Thank you again for being here. What a powerfully empowered session and conversation this was today. I really encourage all of you to check out the links that we'll have down below, and especially to grab your link to the summit. Is going to be chock full of valuable resources from investing, money, finances, all the way to our well-being and our physical vitality. So thank you, Paige, for being here. It's been a wonder and beautiful moments just having you be in this space with us.
No, absolutely. Blessings to you, Michelle, and I'm so glad we met.
Me too. All right, bye for now, guys.